My name is Vasanti and I'm from Heidelberg.
Like most young people, Vasanti had little idea where her life would take her. But right from her early years, sport was clearly going to play a major role.
I'm a motion type of person. And the problem in school or in my early years was that it was always competitive. So you had to perform, you had to be good or the best or something, and very often something less didn't count.
As for becoming a great distance swimmer, this would have to be revealed to her in its own time.
Some people, they dream from their childhood on that one day they will swim the English Channel. It was never the case with me.
It was while in university that she took her first real steps in her spiritual life.
I wanted to be happy and also lead a life that doesn't hurt others in search of being happy, And so meditation seemed to be an answer.
Then, of course, she discovered her spiritual teacher, Sri Chinmoy.
You don't find the master appears when you're ready. So I had the feeling the point was there, and it was very, very natural that I felt at home. I had found something that felt very, very familiar. It was like something really deep opened, and there was an inner connection.
In those years, distance running was a major part of center life.
People were telling about the inner experiences they had in these multi-day events. They said it can be heaven and hell, like you can suffer like anything, but then there are also moments, and sometimes extended moments, where you really feel bliss and peace, and like you forget the body and things change inside you, and you keep the experience also for a long time. It's a transformatory experience. I thought, okay, if I can't run then that much anymore, then I start swimming a little bit.
Then a moment came that would change her life forever.
And suddenly Sri Chinmoy said, kind of out of the blue, is there nobody from my disciples who wants to swim the English Channel? And I loved swimming always just in the open water, not competitively, just swimming into infinity. And I had the feeling, though, my mind said, you don't have the discipline to do that because you need to train. And like girlish as I am sometimes, I just said to the girls around me, I would love to, I would like to, but didn't dare to say out loud. But unconsciously I knew they would say it, so I told it to them. And of course somebody said Vasanti.
From the very beginning it was clear that she had an amazing capacity for distance swimming.
First thing we did to test our abilities and our spirit was the next day we packed a car and we went to Jones Beach and jumped into the water. And it was freezing cold at that time. And I still remember, I think I was the first in and the last out. So when I went to Dover, there also we had to do a test swim, like 7 hours in the harbor. And people thought I didn't have muscles. I looked more like fat, not muscles. And so my boat pilot even said, are you trained? And I just had done whatever I could. And then I did the 7-hour swim, and it went by so nicely, and I felt so happy in this choppy water, like totally delight, even in those adverse conditions.
Nature, however, was not going to allow her an opportunity to attempt the swim just then. She would have to wait and come back to the channel in September.
The spiritual part was a very important part in the whole channel experience. Like I meditated every time before training and after training, because I knew it wasn't my capacity. It was only due to meditation that I could use the physical to such an extent. And I just remember that the first 2 hours were the most difficult because then the mind is still operating. It's like you have to get into the flow. And after the first 2 hours, the time just passed so quickly. And after 6 hours, I could see both coasts. I could see the White Cliffs of Dover, and I could see France. And they told me I was in the middle. And I couldn't believe it. And I just had this strong feeling that the swim had already been done. And I just had to finish it on the outer plane.
After 17 hours of swimming, Vasanti would become the first disciple to swim the English Channel. She felt real strength and support from her entire spiritual family.
That all the energy from Sri Chinmoy and also from all the disciples around the world who knew that we were in Dover attempting this really came to make it so easy and just delight. I know other people had many more difficulties in swimming the channel, and also the second time I did it wasn't the same feeling of delight. And I'm totally sure it was the energy of all my friends and team members, and especially of Sri Chinmoy.
And like many who reach their goals, Sri Chinmoy inspired Vasanti by offering her an even more difficult challenge.
The first thing that he said was not great what you did and things like that. He said, our goal is self-transcendence. That was one of the first things that he said. And I couldn't believe it, because for me this was just, okay, I had achieved this goal and that was it for now. And Sri Chinmoy was immediately thinking of the next step. But he didn't urge it upon anybody. He just, a couple of days later again, he was looking into the air and saying to us, what do you think about swimming the channel, biking 150 miles and running 2 marathons? Do you think it's frightening or challenging? And of course, we said challenging.
Remarkably, Vasanti completed this challenge almost exactly 25 years later.
One of my motivations to do these things is I think that it will inspire other people. Not to swim the channel maybe, but to see you're not old at 50 plus. You can even fulfill your dreams if it takes 20 plus years. Sometimes things just take time. And yeah, you just have to believe in it and keep it up and just pursue it.
And as for the future, there is no finish line for this remarkable athlete anywhere in sight.
One thing is, in the competitive sports, very often at age 30 you're old, you're a master or something like that. But actually in ultra distances, also in the swimming world, there are more and more people over 50 that are doing amazing things. And for me, of course, Sri Chinmoy was a huge inspiration, because up to his 76th birthday, he was really active, lifting more and more weights and really inspiring people to not consider them old at any time, no matter which age. So I'm booked for October to try to attempt to swim the Straits of Gibraltar, which is between the southern tip of Spain or of Europe and Africa. The difficulty with Gibraltar is that there are stronger currents. So I also don't know if I can make it. It's the same situation with the weather. You go there and you don't know if you can swim. You have to wait for the right winds, and sometimes the fog can come in. But the idea to do it was because I still have the idea of doing the Channel Triathlon, the big one I call it, from Dover all the way to Heidelberg. The last one was the small one. And you have to keep doing things and challenging your things to keep up your fitness. And also I feel for my personal life, I need certain challenges to go out and train and not just run 2 miles or something like that. And it really adds to my spiritual life. That's my feeling, absolutely. That if I don't do something on the physical plane, then also my spiritual life, my meditation, my discipline goes down.
From the Trang, Vietnam, this is Inspiration News.